Today, we're going to talk about the subtle signs that you're forcing a relationship with the wrong person. And I want to start actually on dissecting that terminology, wrong person, because technically you can't choose the wrong person. It's not possible. Your soul, before you incarnated in this body, in this time, knew exactly what he or she, you, were going to do. So that terminology, wrong person, is actually wrong. So let's expand on that, right? Because maybe some of you are watching this going, what the fuck is she talking about? Let's expand on that. When you are about to go on a date or you're in a relationship with somebody, it, and you start to feel within the body, okay? Stay with me here for a minute. You start to feel within your body anxious sometimes, uneasy, stressed, fear, worry, doubt, intuitively, okay? And it's ordinarily in the belly region, intuitively, there's a part of you saying, don't do it. This person isn't good for you. That's one of the subtle signs. Because if you think about it, and often we don't listen to that voice, we listen to the inner critic, what I like to call the shit talker or the egoic mind. It's all the same, it's the same thing. It's the part of us that wants to control outcomes. Well, what kind of outcomes? Past outcomes, in essence, right? The egoic mind wants to control that you don't get into another relationship with an asshole, a fuckboy, a narcissist, a gold digger. It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. The wrong one, okay? So the egoic mind can only perceive what you already experienced in the past. So you have to really start to tune in to what inner voice are you really listening to? Because you often hear two, maybe some of you hear more. I often hear too. And I will tell you that the inner critic, the shit talker, the egoic mind is always the loudest. It's always the first. And it typically feels, okay, like it's coming in from your head. Okay? The intuition, your inner knowing, your higher self, your God self, if you will, that is the still small voice. Whenever you hear inner dialogue that judges you, that tells you this is right, that is wrong, this is good, that is bad, that is of the ego. That is of the ego, the inner critic, the shit talker. It's not you and it's not God. It's usually your past experiences. It's the voice of your mother. It's the voice of your father. It's the voice of a school bully. It's the voice of your ex. It's the voice of somebody on TV or social media. It's the voice of a teacher that you didn't like or like an uncle who was mean to you. It doesn't matter who that is. The point that I want you to understand is it's not you. Okay, so start to tune in to the subtleties that we're talking about here. Okay, tune in to the inner dialogue, to the still small voice, rather than the one that's like blah, 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 the loudest one in the room. And we will tend to listen to that because it is so loud, because it is so obnoxious. But it doesn't mean it's the right one. It just means that's the one we've practiced. That's the one that's the loudest because, well, You've practiced it. You've been conditioned to listen to it. And if you pay attention to the society that we live in, this is not what I'm sharing with you is not common knowledge. It's not taught in schools. It's not uh, talked about amongst your friends. Like the majority of the advice that I give you on this channel, 99.99999% of the people don't know it. So pay attention because these things will actually start to shift how you show up in relationships so that you stop picking wrong ones and you start choosing the right ones. And again, so let's decipher right one, wrong one, because again, like I said, your soul is choosing certain partners so that you can learn lessons. That's the gist of it if you want to keep it simple. Think about this. Think about your last lover, your last relationship. Just think about it for a minute. Let it pop in your mind. What did you learn about yourself? What did you learn? What did you decide from that relationship? I will no longer tolerate this, whatever this is. I will do better on this, whatever this is. There's no way that you came out of your last relationship without learning something, without some kind of growth, of a gift, of a lesson. And if you believe that you didn't, it's only because you are looking at what you perceive as to be the bad things, the wrong things. He did this to me. She did this to me. They made my life miserable. They cheated on me. They did me wrong. Whatever it is, you're living in victimhood, in essence. Take a moment to introspect within yourself. What did I learn? What lesson that is helping my greater good came from this? Even if you can only find one, there's usually many. Okay? So this is why you don't actually choose the wrong partner ever. But when you're in it, it certainly feels like the wrong partner because it created pain and suffering, right? It's supposed to create transformation. And it does. It does. If you have the eyes to see it. If you can allow yourself to mm, not concentrate so much on the so-called bad and look for more of the good, the gifts, the lessons, the growth. Okay? But let's dig into this because there are subtle things that we don't listen to. And why? I'll tell you the main reason why. Our intuition always knows. That still small voice, the voice of God, if you will, the voice of the Holy Spirit, the voice of your higher self, whatever you want to call it. It's the wise one within you who knows all. Doesn't know all about everybody and for everybody, but for you. God put this in all of us for ourselves. You can't be this for anybody else. You can only be this for you. So, why is it that we don't listen to that? Why? Because I will tell you this. In all of my past relationships, I heard that voice. I knew when my intuition was like, don't do it. This person is not going to be good for you. But I overrode it in my mind. I allowed the ego, which is all fear-based, right? Oh, you're not good enough. You should settle. This is as good as it gets for you. Who do you think you are, having higher standards and thinking you can get better than this? Whatever that is for you. Okay? But again, that the inner critic, the ego, is the inner shit talker that will tell you all the ways that you suck or judges you or judges them. So the still small voice is what you want to concentrate on. So pay attention to those subtleties when you're out on a date, when you're with your significant other, when you're in relationship. And actually, it doesn't even have to just be romantic relationship. Any of your relationships with any other humans, well, actually, all beings, but let's just talk about humans right now. It could be platonic, it could be your career, it could be your friend, it could be a so-called stranger. All of your relationships with other humans. Pay attention to the two subtleties and notice, right? Notice with just innocent awareness, if you will. Don't make yourself bad or wrong if you're paying attention to the egoic mind that judges versus the still small voice. And again, I keep looping. I'm going to come back to why don't we listen to our intuition? Why do we override it? Only because we've just been conditioned to. In our society, we don't honor, we don't respect, we don't favor the intuitive mind. If you think about when you went to school, okay, for most people, we're taught to uh, memorize, regurgitate, and repeat. If we try to think outside of the box, we're labeled as ADD, ADHD, put them on some Ritalin and calm that kid down over there. If if we daydream and have vivid imaginations, we're bad. So we're taught to conform from a very early age to be like everyone else so that we are accepted, to follow commands and not challenge, not think for yourself. Do as I say, not as I do, right? Respect your elders. What do you know? You're just a stupid little kid. Think about this. So we get conditioned, meaning we hear that again and again and again and again and again, and then we believe it. We believe it. And then we make it true within our own beingness, and then we think that it's true. But a belief is only a practice thought. That's all it is. It's a thought that's become habit. A belief isn't necessarily synonymous with truth. So I want you to notice the subtleties because this will change your life. Even if I just talk about this one point, this is a game changer for your entire life, not just your relationships. Because your inner knowing, your intuition is your North Star and always knows the perfect path for you. Not the perfect path for anybody else, but your perfect path. So learn to tune in to that. Learn to tune into that inner knowing and then try it out. This is how you build trust in yourself. The only reason you don't listen to it is because you don't trust it. Because down deep, even if you don't want to admit this to yourself, you don't trust yourself. Because maybe you made bad choices and chose the wrong one. Notice these air quotes I'm doing here, okay? I'm doing that intentionally because there are no bad choices and there is no wrong or right. Again, that's all of the ego. But you've made yourself bad or wrong because maybe you experienced something uncomfortable, right? Something, some kind of suffering, if you will, a so-called bad result or a bad event, okay? Again, bad, let's use that lightly. So learn to tune in to that inner voice, that inner knowing, and try it out on things that are not that big of a deal. When you hear it, pay attention and then do it, whatever it says. Like, here's a silly example, but this will give you an understanding, okay? Say you were driving in your car and you're on your way to the gas station, okay? You're just gonna go fill up your car, for example, okay? And on your way to the gas station, you hear within your being, turn right into Starbucks, just as an example, okay? And immediately, the inner critic, the ego, the shit talker is like, I'm not turning into Starbucks. I don't even need Starbucks. I don't even like Starbucks. I'm on my way to the gas station. Why would I go over there? Learn to listen to that inner voice because what you have asked for, the desires that you have, since we're talking about relationships, in a lover, in the love of your life, in a hot, happy, healthy relationship, That inner voice that comes from your gut, if you will, your belly, you can even say your heart, but you feel it within. It simply points the way. It points the way. Doesn't explain. It's not negative. It's usually just neutral. It just points the way. Do this without explanation. And sometimes it doesn't even make any sense. Okay. Your ego will sound logical. The the inner knowing, your God self, your intuition, your gut, again, whatever you want to call it, simply points the way. That's it. And sometimes it's more soft and more subtle because, again, as maybe you've learned or maybe you haven't, God speaks to us in a still, small voice. The egoic voice is loud. Learn to tune out the egoic voice. Learn to tune in to the still, small voice. And then follow what it tells you. So if you went into Starbucks, for an example, maybe the person that's going to be your next healthy, loving relationship is there, and you would never know because you didn't listen. Maybe there's a job opportunity there for you, and you will never know. Not from Starbucks. Maybe you bump into somebody in line and they're like, oh, hey. It doesn't matter because, listen, it's almost always not logical. But when you are through it, if you will, and you can connect the dots, the hindsight, you can see the trail, and your path is hardly ever linear. It's not this like straight, narrow path. Ordinarily, your path is like this. Okay, just being silly, but it's kind of true. It's not a straight line. It's all over the place. I'm gonna knock some things down. It's all over the place. But when you were there, whatever the there is that you're calling in this case, we're talking about love, relationships. When you were there, you can look back if you're introspective and you can connect the dots. So that is the most important thing that you will learn from today. It will change the game for you if you allow yourself to practice it. And I will tell you, it is not enough. It is not enough to just watch this video and then be like, okay, I know. And then not actually go do it, not go experiment, not go experience it for yourself. That is where you actually create long-term, permanent, if you will, results. You have to be willing within yourself. Nobody can do this for you. You have to be willing to take information like this as an example and then go do it. And then go do it again and do it again and do it again and do it again. And then prove to yourself, holy shit, this does work, which then increases more confidence, which then increases more trust in that inner wisdom, the inner voice, God, higher intelligence, your higher self. Again, it doesn't matter what you call it. And the voice of the ego, the voice of the inner critic, the voice of the shit talker will start to become more quiet, more quiet. And the voice of the inner wise one will become more clear. And the more you lean in and the more you trust, the more you prove to yourself. And what do you have to lose? Another shitty relationship? Ha! I know that's not what you want. That's the part of the reason why you're here. So try that on, okay? Now, I'll get into a little bit more, but that is the most important thing that you will get from this entire video. Try that out if you don't do anything from this video. Do that. Learn to trust that part of you. Learn to listen to that part of you. It is always right. It is never wrong. And if, as you're playing with this, because it's a practice, okay? You get better at it the more you do it. It becomes clearer the more you do it. So at first you might be a little rusty. At first you might be like, this is ridiculous. You have to have really persistence. Persistence is a sexy trait that lots of people don't talk about. That is one of the key traits of most people who live a beautiful life, a life on their terms, their terms. Okay. So, other things that are subtle, if you will, is notice, is it, how do I say this? Does it feel like kind of it's like a one-way relationship? In other words, maybe you're just a natural giver, right? And maybe you even pride yourself on being a giver. So you give and you give and you give and you give, and I have a good heart, so I give. And this is what you tell yourself. I'm just a giver. But it's not reciprocated, hardly ever. Feels really one-sided. Feels like you're the one putting in all the effort and the other person is putting in the bare minimum, if you will. And again, this doesn't matter if it's romantic relationships or platonic relationships, this all applies. Notice, why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? Why do you settle for that? Why do you allow that? Aren't you deserving of reciprocation? And I'm not saying tit for tat. I'm not saying scorekeeping, because that is just a transaction. That's not an actual healthy relationship. If I do this for you, you got to do this for me. No, I'm saying natural reciprocation. When you're in a healthy relationship, when you're in a relationship with somebody who's good for you and you're good for them, there is a natural energy of reciprocation. You naturally want to give, they naturally want to give back. You both, it's this give and receive, and it's natural and it's effortless and it's easy. So that's another, subtle cue, if you will, of the wrong one. Notice I got to do the air quotes in here because there is no wrong one, but just stay with me, okay? It's if it feels like, it's just so much work. It's so much work to be with this person. I have to do so much effort. That's a cue, a clue for you to check in. Why? What's really here? What do I feel that I am doing that is so much effort? You have to get real with yourself. You can't just bypass these parts of yourself and think things are going to change. They won't. You'll just harbor more resentment. So listen to those parts of yourself. Also, if you tend to morph yourself, wear masks, uh, try to fit in by being who you think they would want, they would like with them or their friends. If you tend to not be yourself, let's just look at it that way, your true self, the self that maybe only your best friend knows, or the self who you are when nobody is around and nobody's watching, the real you, your most authentic self. If you find that you hide that part of you and you put on this facade, if you will, then that's also a subtle clue that you're probably not in a relationship that's good for you, that's right for you. They're not really your person, if that makes sense. Okay. Another thing is you're afraid to speak up. You shut yourself down. You shut your mouth. You tell yourself, well, I'm just taking the high road, or, I'm better than that. I'm not, it's fine. It doesn't really bother me. But deep down, it does. You're not being honest with yourself. You are kind of lying to yourself about it. And you're making yourself maybe even internally bad or wrong for feeling the way that you do. And instead of honoring that part of you and speaking it out to that other person with love, you give yourself loathing. You guilt yourself. You shame yourself. You make yourself bad or wrong. Oh, I shouldn't do that. Should equals shame. Stop shitting yourself. In fact, when you say should, imagine you're just shitting on yourself because it's in essence what you're doing. So stop shaming yourself. Own how you feel. Own it. And be okay expressing it. Just allow yourself to express it in a way where you are calm and it comes from love, not pointing fingers, not you made me, none of that. More so, this is how I'm feeling. This is what happened, and this is how I feel about it. And allow your significant other or your friend or your parent or whomever the relationship is with, allow them to take it in and respond to you. And understand that you're not in charge of how they respond. And maybe this is the first time that you're actually speaking up for yourself, right? Maybe this is the first time you're actually speaking your truth from a place of love, from boundaries, from authenticity. And it probably feels terrifying inside if you haven't practiced it, for sure. For sure it does. Get used to that. It gets easier. The only reason it feels scary is because you haven't done it before. Or maybe you did it in the past and maybe you got yelled at. And so you're like, oh, I don't want to do that again. But they're not a mind reader. And you owe yourself to speak what is true, what is genuine, and what is real for you in every relationship. We're not mind readers. And it's not fair to you and it's not fair to them to assume that they should just know. Well, if they cared about me, Melanie, then they should just know. No, no. If you cared about you, you would say what matters. And if you cared about that relationship, you would say what matters. And give them the opportunity to meet you there. I hope you enjoyed this teaching. I am done for now. Subscribe, comment, and come back here. And most importantly, try this out. Try out what I shared with you, listening to the still small voice within and trusting it, and then following the guidance of it. Practice that. Practice it with your easiest, most mundane, most ordinary daily moments. You have to practice listening in order to be able to tune in. So at first it might feel a little wonky. At first you'd be like, I don't even know what you're talking about, Melanie. It's only because you have practiced listening to the egoic mind, to the inner critic, to the inner shit talker, the judger within you, whatever you want to call it. You've practiced listening to that. So practice listening to the subtle, soft voice that simply points the way. Trust it. Practice. Experience it for yourself. Prove to yourself, and you will strengthen that relationship. You will strengthen that voice, and you will come to prove to yourself that it is right. Always. And then actually, get this. You won't choose the wrong one anymore because that part of you will be like, nope, nope, this is not the way. This is not the person. And again, it will have no judgment. That's how you know the difference between the two. God within, the inner wisdom within, your higher self, your intuition, your gut, however you want to refer to it, the still small voice never comes from a place of judgment. Again, it simply points the way. It is either neutral or it is positive, but it is never negative. Never. If it's negative, it's your ego. It's the inner critic. It's the shit talker. Practice it. Let me know how it goes and drop it in the comments. I would love to hear it. Okay. Until next time, my friends. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your week. I'll see you again soon.